Hey guys, it's been quite some time since I last uploaded. I'm trying my best to at least upload once every week. It's been quite difficult when there's nothing much to do, and I just couldn't think of anything to talk about. Anyways, I thought since Tartag has his banner right now as of recording, and Ayato is rumored to have a rerun next update, I thought it would be a great idea to talk about the two of them. But before we do that, remember to sub and like so we can reach 2k subs soon. Thanks, I greatly appreciate it. I just want to make this clear. They are both relatively the same value in terms of meta viability. Literally any team to use one of them in, the other character can work pretty similarly anyways. However, they have their differences, so let's go over them. Childe has the best on-field Hydro application in the game. It gets even better in an AoE setting, with Riptide having quadratic scaling. If you didn't know, quadratic scaling means the damage will increase depending on the number of enemies, and since you can apply Riptide to many enemies at once, its damage, Hydro application, and eye candy satisfaction become absolutely insane. It quite literally rips through enemies. On top of all of this, Childe has one of the best bursts in the entire game. Its versatility is incredibly valuable. Using his burst in his bow stance allows him to apply Riptide in a generous area, and refunds 15 energy. His burst in his melee stance has ridiculously high scaling, and when vaporized, it becomes one of the best nukes in the entire game. One negative thing that I think will turn people away from Childe is his cooldown management. If you spend too much time in his melee stance, it will have a very long cooldown. This means that if you spend the whole 30 seconds with him on field, he will have a 45-second cooldown. However, that's honestly not even a big deal, because there aren't really any reasons for you to stay on field with him that long in the first place. Many buffs or off-field damage abilities don't last long enough. It will take some time to get used to. There will be times where the cooldown can mess up rotations. It takes practice, kind of. Moving on to Ayato, another very good and satisfying main DPS. He's kind of similar to Childe in the way that he's mainly a Hydro applicator. However, Ayato's personal damage is better and more consistent than Childe, simply because he has higher scaling with his skill. But this thing has arguably a wider range, horizontally and vertically, so it's able to hit even flying enemies in a wider range. On top of that, Ayato offers off-field Hydro application with his burst, although not much. But it has quadratic scaling as well. It works pretty much the same as Ganyu's burst, except it's Hydro. It also buffs normal attacks, and this is a very nice bonus since Ayato's Hydro infusion attack stance counts as a normal attack. He is also very easy to use. Unlike Childe, Ayato's cooldown stance have a static timer. This means that you don't have to manage his cooldowns like you would with Childe. Both of these characters are pretty damn good, satisfying, and extremely fun to play in my opinion. But which of these two are the better options? It's very close, but I think I would have to give Childe the dub here. However, this is in regard to one team only, and that is a Xiangling Vaporized team. Other than that, Ayato has the upper hand. Not to say that they can't work in the other teams. I just think in most cases, Ayato is generally better, but Childe can be better in some teams. The reason why I say Childe is better in Vaporized is that his Hydro application is just so good. He's able to consistently maintain the Hydro aura on multiple enemies while Xiangling and Kazuha's burst constantly apply Pyro. His high scaling burst is also capable of doing high single target damage due to how much Pyro is being applied. In Ayato's situation, he can keep up with both of them, but from my experience, you will need to have your burst active to do so. Otherwise, Ayato will be the one that vaporizes his attacks without consistency, which isn't really a bad thing, but the main point of a vaporized team is to vaporize Xiangling's damage and to buffer up as much as possible. On top of this, he will only get his burst once every 2 rotations. There is also a technique called double swirl. I'm not so sure if Sucrose can double swirl, but in the case of using Kazuha, he's 100% capable of doing this. The way this technique works is by swirling 2 elements, you will be able to debuff with the Viridescent set and activate Kazuha's passive for both Hydro and Pyro. You can do this by applying Hydro with Childe, and then use Bennett's burst. Since the Hydro aura is still present on the enemy, due to Childe's very good Hydro application, and Bennett's burst applies Pyro to the character on field, this allows Kazuha to double swirl both Hydro and Pyro. I'm not so sure why, but Childe vaporized teams are able to do this consistently, while Ayato teams do it less effectively and struggle at it. I'm guessing it's because Childe applies more Hydro aura to the enemies, but I'm not so sure. You guys can let me know. Other than Vaporize, Childe's incredibly high Hydro application becomes unnecessary, and Ayato starts to become generally better due to him having simply better scaling and personal damage. Ayato's personal damage is incredibly valuable in Freeze, Taser, Mono Hydro, Bloom, and Hyper Bloom teams. All of these teams just need a consistent Hydro applicator, and although Childe can do just that and does it well, Ayato is better here not only because of his personal damage, but his burst and skill helps him spread out the Hydro in a larger area. Again, to reiterate, I think both of them are pretty much the same in terms of power level. I think Childe is better in Vaporized teams, while Ayato is generally better everywhere else. This doesn't mean I think one is significantly better than the other, because I don't think that's true. Literally any team that used Childe in, Ayato can do just fine, and vice versa. Anyways, thanks for watching everyone. Remember to sub and like if you enjoyed. Help the channel reach 2k subs soon, it would be greatly appreciated. Have a good night and day wherever you're at, and I'll see you all next time. Peace and take care.